Imagine being on a flight when something unimaginable happens. A flight attendant slaps a pilot. What would you think could happen next? Well, the truth might shock you. It may sound like the plot of a movie, but this is a real-life event that left everyone stunned. What could lead to such an intense confrontation between two key members of the flight crew? Tensions escalated in the cockpit, and what followed took everyone by surprise. In this video, you'll learn exactly what happened during this shocking incident, the unexpected consequences for the crew, and how the airline handled the aftermath. Trust me, this is a story you won't want to miss, filled with twists you didn't see coming. So sit tight and watch until the end, because the truth will leave you speechless. Welcome to Craze TV. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping stories like this. It all started during a routine flight between two major cities. The passengers settled in, the crew prepared, and everything seemed completely normal. The pilot, a seasoned veteran, and the flight attendant, an experienced professional, were working together like they always did, focused on their tasks and ensuring everything went smoothly. But behind the comms, something was brewing in the cockpit and cabin. Tensions were building up, and nobody could have predicted how it would unfold. Now pilots and flight attendants generally work in harmony. After all, they both have the same goal: to ensure a safe and comfortable flight for the passengers. However, the reality is that long hours, high stress, and the constant pressure to perform can lead to frustration. It's not uncommon for minor disagreements to arise between crew members. Maybe it's a difference in opinion about the flight's logistics or an issue with workload distribution. Sometimes it's just the exhaustion that comes with back-to-back flights. But most of the time, those tensions stay behind the scenes, resolved before anything gets out of hand. But in this case, something snapped. The usual camaraderie between the flight crew began to fracture under the pressure. The flight attendant, who had been working tirelessly through the flight, had her patience tested. The pilot, perhaps dealing with his own stresses, didn't handle the situation well either. The stress built up quietly, at first unnoticed by the passengers. Then it escalated. Words were exchanged, voices raised, an argument broke out, and then a slap. This wasn't just an argument, it was an outburst no one saw coming. In a split second, the situation that started as a simple disagreement turned violent. A slap from a flight attendant to the pilot, a complete breakdown of professionalism. The cabin went silent. The crew, who were supposed to work together in a high-pressure environment, were now at odds in a way that was completely unexpected. And just like that, a routine flight had become a scene of chaos. This wasn't just a heated moment or a misunderstanding. It was a serious confrontation. It raised questions that no one had considered before. How could something like this happen on an aircraft where safety and teamwork are paramount? What could have been so bad, so overwhelming, that it led to such a drastic reaction? Reports suggest that during the flight, tensions between the flight attendant and the pilot began to rise. At first, it was just a few exchanged words, but quickly those words became sharper. Emotions flared up, and the heated argument escalated. It's unclear exactly what was said, but what was once a routine disagreement turned into something much more intense. The argument grew louder, and in a shocking turn of events, the flight attendant suddenly slapped the pilot across the face. The sound of the slap was so loud it echoed through the cockpit, sending a chill through the crew. The slap was a moment of complete chaos. For those around, it was as if time froze for a moment. The crew members were frozen, unsure of how to react, and the situation spiraled out of control before anyone could intervene. In the cabin, the passengers couldn't help but notice something was off. The crew had always been the image of professionalism, working in perfect harmony. But now that image was shattered. Passengers exchanged confused glances, wondering if something serious was happening behind the scenes. Were they in danger? Was everything okay? What led to this sudden outburst remains unclear. Some suggest it could have been personal tension that had been building up over time, perhaps unresolved issues between the two. Others believe the disagreement may have been about how the flight was being managed. A miscommunication between the flight crew, or maybe even frustration over a stressful situation could have triggered such an extreme reaction. Whatever the cause, the outcome was shocking. It was a breach of professionalism that no one could have predicted. The immediate aftermath was chaos. The slap wasn't just a physical act, it was an emotional explosion, and it threw everyone into uncertainty. The pilot, likely stunned, was left in a state of shock, as was the rest of the crew. It wasn't just the physical slap that shocked them, it was the realization that something had gone terribly wrong. Naturally, the moment the slap occurred, the rest of the crew sprang into action. The other flight attendants, who had been working calmly just moments before, rushed to separate the two. The co-pilot, who had been monitoring the situation from the cockpit, quickly left his post to intervene. What started as a heated conflict between two crew members quickly escalated into a matter of safety. The crew's first priority was to ensure that the flight remained under control and that no further disruptions would affect the passengers or the aircraft. The tension in the air was palpable. The situation wasn't just about emotions anymore, it was about maintaining order and security. In response to the escalating conflict, the airline's emergency protocols were activated. Ground control was immediately contacted, and a decision was made to act swiftly. The flight attendant, now a part of a serious disturbance, was quickly removed from the cabin to prevent any further issues. Another flight attendant took over, stepping in to ensure that the flight could continue smoothly without additional complications. The airline, fully aware of the gravity of the situation, moved fast. They knew that this wasn't just a simple argument, it was a potential safety threat. The flight was grounded as soon as it landed, and the airline immediately launched an internal investigation into the incident. They had to get to the bottom of what had caused such a dramatic outburst. What started as a personal conflict had now turned into a serious matter of flight safety, one that could not be overlooked. The airline's quick response was crucial to ensuring that the incident didn't cause any lasting damage to the crew, passengers, or the airline's reputation. But here's where things get shocking. The flight attendant didn't just face professional consequences, there were legal ramifications as well. A slap in the workplace, especially one involving someone in a position of authority, isn't just a matter of bad behavior. In many cases, it can lead to criminal charges, and this situation was no exception. The flight attendant was placed under investigation, and authorities were called in to determine whether the act was an assault. This wasn't a slap that could be brushed aside. It was a serious incident that raised questions about workplace violence and the safety of the flight crew. The pilot, on the other hand, wasn't left untouched by the fallout. He was given the opportunity to explain his side of the story, as the airline wanted to fully understand the context of the situation. What happened next, however, was something that left the entire aviation industry in shock. The details of the argument between the two were scrutinized in great depth. Would the pilot face any disciplinary action? Was he partially responsible for the altercation? The public was left questioning not just the actions of the flight attendant, but also the role of the pilot in this shocking incident. As news of the altercation spread, it quickly captured global attention. This wasn't just a small issue between two people, it became a story that made headlines across the world. The media coverage was intense, and people began to ask tough questions. How could something like this happen in the controlled environment of a commercial flight? What did it mean for the safety and trust that passengers place in flight crews every day? The incident raised concerns about the professionalism and mental well-being of the people tasked with ensuring air safety. Public trust in airline crews was shaken, and the incident sparked debates about the pressure flight crews face and how incidents like this could impact future flights. In the aftermath of the incident, both the pilot and the flight attendant were temporarily removed from active service while the investigation unfolded. The airline took swift and decisive action, determined to prevent such a shocking event from happening again. This was not just a matter of internal discipline. It was about restoring trust and ensuring that safety protocols were never compromised. The airline wanted to make it clear that no matter the circumstances, professionalism must always be maintained, especially in such a high-stakes environment. The broader implications of this incident became evident almost immediately. It raised critical questions about the level of pressure that flight crews face, particularly in today's fast-paced, high-stress aviation world. Could this kind of breakdown be prevented with better communication or more robust support systems for flight crews? It was clear that there needed to be a greater focus on managing stress, handling conflicts professionally, and fostering a culture of open communication within the aviation industry. This incident was also a stark reminder of just how important it is to keep calm in high-stress environments, whether in the cockpit or the cabin. If flight crews can't manage their stress, how can passengers feel safe? So, what happened next? After the investigation wrapped up, both the flight attendant and the pilot moved on to new roles, and the incident was quietly resolved. The airline made sure to handle everything internally, hoping to put the incident behind them. However, the truth is this story will never be forgotten. It serves as a shocking reminder of the human element behind air travel, those who keep us safe, and the very real challenges they face. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the airline handled the situation correctly? What would you have done if you were in the pilot's or flight attendant's shoes? So what did you think? A shocking incident that completely changed everything. Could something like this really happen to anyone? It's a question that leaves us all wondering how even the most professional of crews can be pushed to their limits. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the crew handled this the right way? Or could it have been avoided? And if you enjoyed this unbelievable story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Craze TV for more jaw-dropping stories like this. You won't want to miss what we have coming up next. The story presented in this video is fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to real-life events or individuals is purely coincidental. Thank you for understanding.